Previous video, we saved our files, the drawing files, to be able to bring them into Rhino 3D. And remember, it's really easy to do that. All you need to do is go to the sketch, right mouse click, and save it as a DXF. So now that we have the files saved, let's bring them into Rhino 3D. So open up a new Rhino file. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go File and Open. And notice what I've done here. I've taken all my drawings or all my DXF files and I've saved them into one folder. And I really recommend that you do the same. So not only does it organize things well, but it'll make it easier to make changes to these drawings later on if you need to find them quickly. So let's go ahead and let's open up the first drawing, this upper arm side. Double click on it, and everything will open everything up in inches, okay, and opens up in Rhino 3D. Notice that we have the 4 viewports. Well, we're mainly going to only work in this top viewport, so let's make it full screen. So if you double click on the title of the viewport in this upper left hand corner, you can make that full screen. Okay, now notice that the dashed lines, or the construction lines, came in as solid lines in Rhino. And we don't want the laser cutter to cut that, so we want to delete that first. So if you click on it, you notice that when you select something in Rhino, it is highlighted in yellow. So I'm just going to click on it, highlight it, and then hit the delete key. And I'll do the same thing for this little line segment right there as well. Okay. The other thing you should take note of is that the fact that if I click on these entities, notice that they're all separate. And what we want to do is we want to be able to move them around as one unit, and then eventually we're going to copy them as well. So what I want to do next is we want to group these objects together. So I'm just going to go up to the command line and type in group, hit return, and then I'm going to select a window to select the objects. So click on that, get everything selected, hit return, and now you notice that when I click on this, I can move all those objects around as one unit. Notice that when you click on an object and it's selected, you get this little local coordinate system. And you can move things in the X and Y axis if you click on the move on this little square right there. Okay. Now we need 2 of these. So let's make a copy of it. Right? So let's select the object. And it's really easy to make a copy in Rhino. All you do is need to select the object, and then hold down the Option key or the Alt key if you're working on a PC, and just move the object, and it will create a copy of it. So let's bring in the third piece, which is the horizontal. So now this time we're going to go to File, and we're going to import it. Go File, Import, and we're going to bring in this upper horizontal, double click on it, and then again we'll open it up in inches. Now notice that when it brings it in, it's overlapping our previous drawing. So what we want to do first, we want to make sure you don't deselect it by accidentally clicking over here. While these objects or these lines are selected, I'm going to take and I'm going to move them up out of the way. Okay, and to save some time, let's go ahead and let's group them together while we're at it. Right, so if we come up here to the command line, type in group, return. There you go. So now you can see that these little line segments are all grouped together as one. So let's go back and let's take a look at our reference drawing. And you notice we're going to cut these 3 pieces out to begin with, right? And we need a piece of plywood that's 17 1/4 by 4 inches wide. Okay, so we'll go back into our Rhino drawing. And so let's draw a rectangle, the size of the sheet of plywood that we're going to cut these parts from. So we're going to come up to a rectangle, which is right up here. Click on it. And now here's one thing you need to be aware of, is Rhino is not a solid modeling software like Fusion 360. So what's that mean? That means that when we go to draw these entities, right, we have to enter in the exact dimensions as we're drawing them. Unlike Rhino, or unlike Fusion, we can go back in there and we can, it's parametric, right? We can change the dimensions at any point in time, right? So I'm going to come down here and click, and then I'm going to enter in the length of it, which is what? It's 17 0.25, 17 to 4, hit return, right? And then the width of it is going to be 4 inches. Go forward and enter. There we go. So now we have a rectangle the size of our sheet of plywood. And now let's sort of nest or arrange these parts on the plywood. So I take this one, bring it down, click on this. Again, they're grouped together so I can move them all as one object. Now, it may probably be better if I rotate this object. So notice that when it's selected, you get this little local coordinate system icon. Right? And then we've got this blue arc. If I click on that blue arc, I can enter in the amount that I want to rotate it. Oops, not 90. Rotate it 180. There we go. And now I can take this, it's a little bit easier to organize the parts on my sheet of plywood. And there we go. Okay, so now we've got the parts nested on the piece of plywood that we're going to cut them from. And then the next thing we would do is to simply just print this to the laser cutter. So we'll go to File, go down to Print, and the next video we will take a look at how to cut the parts on the laser cutter.